Everyone, welcome to our last session. Actually, it's kind of double session, four beautiful minds and ahead of us. So now we are going to talk about the robotization, automation, prefabrication in the construction ecosystem and from the long-term perspective. We got 4 panelists today. I will introduce you shortly, because then afterwards they're going to have each of them its own presentation. So you're going to see what they guys do, and they will also a little bit introduce themselves. So first panelist is Peter Mark, professor at Ruhr University in Bochum in Germany. Peter, welcome to Prague. The other one is Joël Schons, the former vice president of the European Construction Industry Federation. And the next one is Michal Postránecký, founder and director of the Center of the City of the Future at the Czech Institute of Informatics, Robotics and Cybernetics at the CTU in Prague. And the last one is Josef Platil, IT project manager at Wienerberger. So now may I ask the first one to give your presentation about what you do.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm a professor for concrete structures, so I'm from the physical world, and what we are researching is sustainability. Our key goal is sustainability of concrete structures. You might know that concrete has not the best reputation with respect to sustainability. So we are looking for lighter structures, building fast, or to rehabilitate existing ones. And for the second issue, I'm here for building fast, and therefore I'd like to introduce in brief words what we are doing with a group of 50 researchers from mechanical engineering, civil engineering, mathematics, and informatics. We are developing the industrialized prefabrication, and doing so we modularize structures into similar modules that can be produced in serial production. And the only idea why we're doing that is to speed up production. So if you want to have it short, a bridge in a week. And maybe I'll show you some slides. This is the concept we are following. We have a structure that you see on the right, and we start with the structure subdivided like a mosaic in similar modules, and from that we look back to the production. We have an adaptive formworking system, adaptive reinforcing, heating that bakes the concrete in 2 hours to have the sufficient strength. We give sensors, and then we assemble on site proportional to what we have in the digital twin. So this is our vision, and you all know that this only runs with digitalization. This is what you know much better than I. 3 areas we are looking at. First, what is a good modularization? And what we recognized is not looking for static, looking for a good productivity, to have the complex issues in the pre-production and the easy one on site. We look for the production process, and this is a line process. What you see is the product line and the material coming from outside, and the key idea is to elaborate the single stages. And what is important is quality insurance. The smaller you get, the more accurate you must be. If one piece of the puzzle is missing, the whole construction fails. So quality insurance goes for geometry, also for materials, and it's included. And this is my last slide. This is the group, and you might see where they come from all over Germany. And you might say this is a scandal because we're standing very close. Look at the date, it was before COVID. Thank you.
Thanks very much for presentation. If you have any questions, just raise your hand or hit us on Slido. We will get back to you later. Now, Joel, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I actually have only 2 slides. And first of all, yeah, that's me. I think we can skip to the next one. And so I wanted to show you what we are doing today. What we did, we put a LiDAR scanner on the back of a robot, and we are scanning each and all of our projects. And for the moment, we are on 4 minutes for a single-family home. And Spot wanted to join me also here, so that's so you get an idea about the size. And you see him also coming along. And this scanner gives me the point cloud to compare later what we really constructed and how we constructed it. And for that, I'm gonna go for the next slide. As you know, we all need a BIM model. That's our target. We are checking with a solution which is called Open Space. Every technician has a camera on his helmet, and you see at the bottom left the picture, and you also see on the bottom right of it the BIM model, how it should be. You see the green pipes, you see the electricity, and so you see that we did not forget the connections for the TV. The point cloud gives me by far a better result, and you see the colorization. Doesn't seem a lot to you, but that was a huge step forward when we could categorize with an AI what the points are. You see the blue one is the ceiling, the white ones are the columns, and the green one is the floor. The red is all kind of dirt. Sit. And so the point cloud result is really go back. And the point cloud result gives me the possibility to check with the software, without any manual intervention, how well we built. And I think it's a little bit hard to see, but on the bottom right on the picture, the floor is green, but there's a small yellow area at the bottom right, and there's also a yellow column, which are just in the tolerance of our building standards. Red is out of tolerance or non-existent. So these checks are made from the reality with the help of the dog and the scanner and the point clouds. I think that gives you an idea what we are doing now, and the future, we talk further.
The future will talk. So I hope the Spot will join us on the after party.
Sorry?
If the Spot will come to the holiday and afterwards.
If you take care of him, I have a flight to catch.
It's okay, it's okay.
Okay.
So thanks very much for the presentation. And Michal, now floor is yours.
Thank you for the invitation. It's going to be very difficult to get attention after the Spot, but it's okay. I'm an urbanist and architect, so a small introduction of my work. My biggest job was in Las Vegas. It's a 52-story building, 330,000 square meters. And it was built, I was a lead designer, and it was built from 2005, or between 2005 and 2010. And just what was very interesting on this building, going back to permitting and BIM, we were using a completely new software in the time, our tool for project management. So we shared all data and all drawings in PDF form, and you could also use CAD form, not only inside the team, but also with construction, with construction management, also with a managers on investor side, and developer side, but also with plan checkers. So in 2007, basically, when we asked for checking our drawings, we did it all electronically already. So in US, the plan checker really checks the plans. He puts their clouds, and then he sends it back to you with notes. You have to correct your drawings. You send it back. He sends it back to you if there's something new. We did all that already electronically. We did the same with construction site later. And all those requests for changes, everything was done through that. So it was 2007. The other 1, 2, 3, 4 pictures are for my work I did for Central Bohemian region about 2 years ago. It's called Milltown, Concept of City of the Future. It's about 15 to 30,000 people. It should be a city laboratory where all systems are innovative in this, and they should work together. And the last is our latest project we are working on, which is called Vertimove. I'm working on Vertimove. We are working on urban air mobility V-ports, which are drones which can carry people up to 300 kilograms. I mean, they say 4 people. It would be like 2 of us, am I right? Yeah. And we are expecting in about 5 to 10 years to have this done, hopefully. Very quickly, in center of, I'm so founder as I was, as Radek said, the Center of the Future in CTU. So we are looking at how cities will be looking. So we are expecting new type of structures in cities in next 30 years, 20, 30 years. New type of materials, new type of places where we will be visiting to locate our dwellings. We know that we have tools already with BIM, but we are exploring new tools for collaboration. And then we are also exploring what we really expect from robotics. Are we expect just exoskeletons, or how we will work together, collaborate together with robots, not only sit. Yeah, but we can work with the guy, and we also have to learn how robots think, talking to us back. Are we really expecting on construction sites, guys like that? I would actually have no problem with that when you do facades or other things. Or are we really expecting in one day to have completely autonomous construction site? Yeah, maybe yes, but we have to build the whole ecosystem for that, from designing to using that construction site. Two more. You see, Habitat 67 project, which is modular. We are using modulars segments, and using AI, basically a new type of modularity in that. And this is the last. Left again, on the left side again, segmenting, modular building, then using parametric design, thank you very much, on those 2 other questions. And the last question is, I was using Midjourney software, asking him how city will look in 2050, and this is the answer I got from AI Midjourney software. Thank you very much.
Thanks for the presentation. Now, Josef, please.
Hello, I'm Joseph from Wienerberger, and I promised to my panelists that I will have 1 sentence per slide. So I'm a project manager. We produced 200 years back these kind of bricks. We have 200 years of experience, and we know that we are Wienerberger. We grow every year. This is what you think that robot on a construction site should do. This is what our robot can do. This is the newest version of the same robot. This is Hadrian from Australia building a house. These are our robots helping us producing bricks. Prefab. This is spider preflex, so that we save effort of people, so they can get the cables in a box install it and think about other stuff. We have 3D printing for manholes. We have rainwater management system, smart hubs, smart probing for potable water. We have in Norway a smart system. We have more smart systems in Norway. We have sensors, more sensors, even more sensors. And then we have models. You can build a net positive house. And what about the future? What is the work in progress? I think, and it was mentioned here, BIM is about people, processes, technologies, information, and policies. This is my view on what will be the future of technologies. I wrote a book about that. This is the book. I have it in my pocket, but it's also an e-book. And you can meet me in Prague, wherever you want.
Right, thanks very much. So this panel should be about the long-term vision, right? Long-term vision, that's to be more concrete. So let's speak about 2050, 2060. Not so much that about BIM, because imagine the world where the BIM is solved, it's all perfect, we communicate, the digitalization is perfect, but still what I believe that the core business of the construction industry is the construction, rising the building level by level, building the roads, railways, tunnels, dams, nuclear power plants, whatsoever. So now when you were the last one, so we started Josef with you as the first one. Where do you see the future in 2050, for instance?
In 2050, people will stop saying the BIM. There is no the BIM, so they will stop saying the BIM. They will stop expecting one BIM that will save us all.
So it's just stop saying BIM, that's all.
They will stop saying BIM, yeah. Because it's like, imagine you are running a bank and you would say, fintech. Every sentence will be about fintech. Nobody will talk about customer journey or usability.
Let's go back to the buildings. Where you see the buildings in, or infrastructure in 2050? How it will look like?
People are unique, and for them, buying a house is their biggest investment they will make in their life. So they want to customize their living spaces. They don't want to have, they don't want to live in these suburbs of London where you have, you don't know where you are. You just know that you are in that street. So I would say that people like to live in unique living spaces.
Right, Michal, what is your position on this?
2050?
2050, or 2060 so. If you wish.
No, 2050.
2050.
I hope I live in 2050. And if I will not find the way to toilet, I have some, VR set, and it will show me the way, or some spot will help me with that. But really, in construction 2050, I think we will see a lot of the same, like we see today. But hopefully, the whole ecosystem, from the design to the management of the construction and facility management and using a building will be really completely connected in one ecosystem, and there will be a lot of course, robots like Spot.
Well, yeah, we are facing labor shortage quite a lot across Europe. We are facing shortage of material.
I don't know that because maybe we'll get immigrants from Africa and everything will be.
Is that the solution? The cheap labor?
Robots?
No. Yeah.
No. First, I think we will start to use those exoskeletons, for example, much more than for deleting that heavy load work on men. But if we work with bricks, we may use robots also, but we still use people hands because sometimes it's faster. I believe so. We have to find those.
Well, I get a feeling, Joel, you want to say something to us, right?
Yes. I think in 2050 it's very easy. There will be a success company like Ceta, and the construction industry is not ready for the Tesla that the industry had in the car industry. I think if we are not in 2050 so much more, like Peter described it, a car industry, we will be killed by a big company that has automated the process, the Tesla. And I see people shaking their head. And I was young enough when I was at university to go to car industry, and they were all thinking, yeah, 200,000 people working in one big factory, that's what we're going to produce. The Gigafactory has 6,000 people, and they are tripling the production of batteries in one site with 6,000 people, the world production.
They are doing one product.
They are doing one product, and that's what's going to happen for construction industry too. And I'm not saying that everybody is living in the same one. The BMW Series 3 or 5, don't get me now correctly, has 2 billion different possibilities how it's coming out of the same production line. And this production line in 2050, you are asking me how the construction will be, and it will be the same as cars. We have for the moment 4, it was told by somebody, 4 big construction car manufacturers in Europe. There will be a lot less. The machines are getting more complex. The product is getting more complex. If you want to have net zero or positive, energy positive houses, the lines that you have to be correct on from the energy saving at that point, using the energy at that for the ventilation systems and so on. The product is getting complex and more complex. The requirements are more complex. And the SMEs, I see them dying out until 2050.
Well, you've mentioned that it's going to look more like in the automotive industry.
Yes,
So
prefab, certain parts. There will be a lot of assembling still. And I liked your pictures with the big robots at the end, because if the machine is capable in putting a wall immediately there, why should we talk about bricks? 2050, I'm not talking about next year, not
2050.
yet.
2050, understand.
2030, I'm pretty sure that we are transporting whole walls completely finished. There are German manufacturers who are building the robots, the production lines. They exist. They need to improve. And then it's going to be hard, very hard for an SME to be any kind of competitive with somebody who can put the personalized house. I'm not saying the same one. I'm not talking about McDonald's. I'm talking about everybody gets his own house like he wants to have it, but industrialized production. Let's call it like this.
Okay, thanks very much, Peter.
I cannot tell you. That's what I want to say. Maybe to start with some numbers. We are now producing CO2 3 times more than the world can cope. 3 times today. The production industry is responsible for about 40%. So it's not somebody else, it's us. We are producing waste. More than 60% of the world's waste is coming from civil engineering. The energy demand from civil engineering is also almost half of the energy demand of the whole world. And the resources that we are producing are 90%. So if we do not have a solution for that, I think the world will have a problem, or the world does not have a problem, mankind has a problem. So what I can only say is less. The first word is less. And we need less materials, less resources, less construction. I think that's a point. And what I showed you also, a quicker construction. Because you can easily show that with our coupled infrastructure systems, the traffic jam in a sense of CO2 is worse than all the building materials that you transport there and that you build. So first of all, we must understand what we are doing, and we have to look for environment. And have to learn from that. So my message is, first of all, tell the story. and then try to reduce to go and to tackle this 1.5 degree climate aim.
Well, building less, how that can happen when there are still more and more people on the planet?
It's a good point. In the next 20-25 years, we expect 2 billion to come. 2 billion more on the world, and this means more. I can say maybe we have to rehabilitate, stop dismantling, rehabilitate, look for a life cycle or lifetimes of 200 years. And if we have structures that last 200 years, they must be changeable. We cannot ask people in 100 years to accept our standards. We would not accept it 100 years ago. So durable constructions with less materials and exchangeable structures.
Well, if I get it right, you mean if we build something, it should be built to last?
Yes.
As long as possible. Yeah, Michal.
I just would like to have a small note. Those 2 billions, mostly 2 billion people will mostly will be added in those areas like Pakistan, India, China, and we will expect to have huge megacities like 80 million people, 100 million people. There will be no robotization. It mostly will be slum. So it's a completely different, a playground for robotization for the future. It's almost unsolvable problem.
Let me bring that some numbers. In 30 years, the increase in population will be 0. So we have 30 years of growing, and then starting 2050, we go down.
Well, if we go back to our actual main point, which was the robotization and automatization in the construction industry, so maybe let's put the question straight. Where do you see, Josef, where do you see the possibility using of robots in the construction industry? How those buildings should look like when we are talking about using robots in the construction industry? What is your view?
I would use them side by side with people. But the issue with robots is that they don't have emotions. So
That's
the
good or
robots
bad?
They don't have red eyes when they are angry.
I know.
The Boston Dynamic robot doesn't tell you that in the log file there is this guy kicked me. But at some point, you don't have control over the robot. So it has to work side by side, but has to be controlled. Or in a controlled environment. If you want robots to work independently, you need to give them a cage in which they work. Just cannot let them roam between people.
Right. My point was that today, if you look on the construction site, wherever, it's like fitted for a human. The bricks are for the human. The kilograms of the brick is fitted to the hygiene standard, so human can operate it. A lot of things on the construction site are for the human. Then we got robots like this one, and those robots are done for automotive. They are not for civil engineering. And we are trying to connect it. It doesn't work really. So do you think maybe there should be robots for civil engineering, specific robots? And should be the civil engineering redefined more, that the robots can handle it?
But they already are. If you want to build a tunnel, then you have a robot. It's just a big worm full of people operating it.
Well, yeah, for line structures, for the high-rise, for instance, I guess there is no... Joel, yeah.
The machines are coming, and I think it's a combination. I think it's the Marriott Hotel in New York City, 52 stories, completely built with modular cases that were put together, and they were all constructed outside in an automotive style cage, where the robots could work all those modules. I have no idea how many modules they needed, but there were big modules, small modules, and so on, and 52 stories. And that is, for me, the biggest difference to any test before. The accuracy that you can build today on a product line in a closed environment is so good that you can build 52 stories, and you don't have a problem that it's going to be a Tower of Pisa. So you can do this accurate today. And also 3D printing, for me, at today, I see it as an integration into my into my production line. In certain places, I need 3D printing, but I could also bake it and find other ways, other solutions. And then on the construction side, I need basically a crane and assemble what we have built as fast and as good as possible.
So is this what you see as a future, the modularity, assembling things just on site, just those things running out of the line production?
Yes.
Right, Peter.
Yeah, let me support this. This modularization and standardization has one big advantage. You might recognize that it's hard today to buy a house. It's almost not affordable to have a house, but everybody can afford a car. And the difference is that you have, in the one hand, you have an individual production by hand, and the other product is a serial product. And this works and reduces the prices. So if you want to seek for prosperity, you need something like a construction kit. A construction kit, this makes prices go down and the effectivity increases, and mistakes, especially the mistakes, go down. This is one key issue.
Well, yeah.
And I'm with 20 years now with Stukalux, and we started with masonry, bricklaying, and certain trades. Today, I have all the trades in-house for residential construction. I'm not building offices, because if I would have to adopt my company to an office building, I would kill myself. I would not be able, but residential buildings, we are very good. Why? Because the bricklayer does jobs that will help the electrician. And the electrician is doing jobs that will help the painter at the end. And so this production process, that is for me one of the biggest problems that the construction industry has, the silos. The bricklayer is just doing what he has in his specifications. And then comes the electrician, and he doesn't care about what comes after him. He's just doing his thing. And I can tell you from my own experience, a huge return on invest. The robot and the LiDAR paid within 1 year. And I think the question was in this area before, even the smallest renovations that we do, we scan it, we put it in BIM, and from there on, the whole process for residential goes along the line of completing. But even, not yet, but I'm pretty sure that in a year's time we have enough capacity to scan before we paint an apartment, just to get all the square meters and everything out of it, and it's getting easy with the software help. Sorry.
It's perfectly okay, no worries. We got 60 minutes to go, so is there any question from the audience? Anyone would like to ask something? Any question from the audience?
May I go immediately on the first one? What about the lack of cultural value when using modular prefabricated products and robots to deliver buildings? That is nonsense to me. Sorry, sorry, Martin. I don't know where you are. Later we're going to drink a beer, okay? But you can have. Did you see the pictures that Mikael showed with the forms and all different kind of things? You can prefabricate exactly what you want. It's not going to be McDonald's. I'm sorry, I cannot say that, but it's going to not be fast food. It's going to be really up to the point, and that's possible because you have the accuracy today, and the bad image that modular and prefabricated had came from the 70s, 80s when everything was created up to a centimeter. But when I look at the corner and there's a centimeter difference, I see the sunlight. That nobody is going to use that. But today we are in millimeter and even in sub-millimeter differences, and that's handable. Sorry. Yeah.
But you have to take it for serious, and
Yes.
you have to take this aspect for granted, because nobody wants to live in the same house as the neighbor. And we have seen this building, and we have an idea how it looks like, especially after the Second World War, the rebuild. And my answer would be smaller pieces, not facade-like pieces, but smaller. If you think of a mosaic or think of a puzzle, it is individual, but the pieces are the same. And this could be the answer. So the size must decrease, and then you end up with an individual structure, because we should keep this individual systems.
Yeah, just let this support the individualism. It's if you look on the dancing house in Prague, the ginger thread, there's a lot of prefabrication, and I think that's really quite some nice house. So, shall we move to question number 2, or anyone would like to address the first? Still,
I agree with Martin.
for me.
I agree with Martin.
Okay, you agree with Martin?
Yeah.
Why?
Because the thing with building a house is that you really want to have a unique experience. It's different with office, where I can go to Brussels and Paris, and I will be in the same cubicle, not knowing in what country I am. I can go to Holiday Inn in Vienna. I don't know in what floor I am. I just know that I am in Vienna, because I see Vienna from the window.
May I add to it? I completely agree. The second, automotive industry, when they started 4.0, they was passing automatization. The whole goal was, you want to build individual project in between 1,000 same cars. We want to pick one and do it immediately in that line. So it's very difficult, to have modular system built, somewhere else than on the site. So if I would prefer modular system, they have to be built on the site. For the big site, we are talking about big buildings. But I like also the last question, is the machinery able permit documentation making the permitting process quality-wise more reliable? I would say yes.
Completely agree. It depends if you are in Italy or in Scandinavia.
Right. The question number 2 were addressed here, and I think previous panel, that we are renovating much more than building in new houses. So the question stands: will in 2050 we'll be renovating the house we are building today? Is it not important that BIM and robotics addresses renovation, not just the new build?
My comment to that would be, if you plan to do renovation in 2050, make a BIM model of your house now and save it in IFC.
Okay, we are talking about digitalization.
Well, yeah.
In 2050,
So,
everything will be digitalized. I hope so. We will have digital twin environment for everything. And so, yeah, you can basically do everything what you want.
right, Peter, you want to say something to? No, then, if you are fine, there is a question to Joel, to you.
What type of software I use? I give you the price of my company, and then we can talk.
Okay.
No, I can. We are a lot with Autodesk, definitely, if you want to know. But before any wrong thinking, I fully support IFC. I fully support open BIM. All these kind of standards. Let's do them. Also, the building permit. You cannot oblige, somebody said it before me, to use a certain specific software. Go for the standard, and the software industry will find a way to cope with this standard. But define the standard and do it. Then we can find a way to convert and find the solution to get it in.
Right, there is remark, so let's go back to the long-term vision. So, well, can we start again from Peter, you? Let's start with this. Where do you see the buildings again? Where do you see the robotics coming up? Or what is the?
Yeah, first of all, think about digitalization. I think the construction industry has to be included in a more broader sense into society. If you think of traffic, you must have the, let's say, the interconnection of traffic and building activities as an example must be included. I see construction industry away from the construction site in a prefabrication, and of course robots will play a role there. And I also see construction kit manufacturing and construction works outside, that we can structurize that and go into serial production. And yeah, the most important issue is that we have a digital world that we are living in, a holistic digital world for the construction industry, also for the design and the production, and that we can couple to all other society measures, otherwise it will not work. If we build a bridge today here and tomorrow there, it might be fantastic in a sense of the bridge itself, but we disturb the traffic. So this is maybe, I hope I did answer my vision.
Well, Joe, can we go on with this? Again, the long-term vision for 2050. We just talked about the modularization, about the robotics. Is that how it will look like in 2050? There will be no labor in the construction side. There will be just the robots and modular things going out of the
I don't
prefabrication.
I don't, it's hard for me to understand it because I said it, I can repeat it again. To me, it's in 2050, the combination of an off-site prefab, mosaic, whatever type of style, prefab building and assembling very fast on-site. That is definitely long-term vision. And there was somebody asking what is reality? Theory is nice. We are building 150 different projects ranging from single-family home to 100 apartments in one project each year. And we are using all these descriptions that I said each day. And so if you think that that's just theory, come to Luxembourg. It was Peter. Peter, I don't know if he's there. My invitation goes to Peter. Come to Luxembourg. I'll show you that it's not theory. The long-term vision will be prefab offsite, assembling very fast on-site, and getting rid of the different silos. They will die. There will be some kind of system where the bricklayer will take care of the electrician.
But there is a question regarding the materials I see, because in Czech Republic we are a concrete-minded country, so a lot of structures are made of concrete, and there's a question on the timber. So I'm pretty sure that even in 50 years we will still use a lot of concrete. It will be definitely CO2 clean. There is now a Swedish steel plant that is completely CO2 neutral. So you have CO2 neutral steel. We will also get CO2 neutral cement. Again, the production will be with CO2, but we can definitely compensate that. Timber is not a solution, especially if we don't have Siberia, where a lot of our wood for Europe was coming from. So there will be not a purely wood-based solution. It will be one part of the solution, but not everything. And there will be other materials like carbon and some other kinds of things that will jump into the future materials. Yes.
I would like to reply to Leos about moving the manufacturing to China. The thing with China is that you buy cheap stuff that is light to travel. And you cannot, it's just, if it's cheap and it's heavy, it makes more sense just to have it locally. Financially, energetically. They are not, you don't want to buy a ship to ship you a house.
Right. There is another question, Joel, to you. The question number 2. What do you think should be the common data environment? Do you see it just as a document and workflow, or should there be included something else?
Again, I'm going to go for standards, and I would really publicly put them in some kind of blockchain where the state has the authority, so we could access them as contractors when we have to renovate a house in 2050. And I have no problem if today you would give me a text file with all the information, a TXT. Perhaps a few people still know here what a TXT file is. We would find the converter to put it in some kind of plan. And so what type of data environment it is to me not that important. Stick with IFC. It is the standard today for archiving.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah. Someone want to address that?
Just want to mention the blockchain topic.
Sorry?
You have the private blockchain and the public blockchain.
Yes.
If it's public,
Yes.
it's not really resource efficient, I would say, unless you have certain technology behind that allows you to make this proof of stake and not proof of work. Yeah, okay. Autodesk, our friend, would definitely like to explore blockchain if there is a use case for that, for common data environment storage.
I would not even go to Autodesk for that. Today you have the notary where you have, in Luxembourg, you have a cadastre. I don't know how it's organized here. They have all the plans. I can go to the cadastre and get some information on a land plot. Why can I not get some information from the IFC that was stored there? I don't need to know where everything is, but I could get at least some kind of information of the building that's there. And why don't we have this as a public blockchain, the information that could be public, like the facade, like the structure things, certain simple elements. Let's start with that, make them public. It would help definitely also us, everybody else, to do renovations in the future.
You know, the ISO 19650 about security tells you that once the information is leaked, you can never get it back. So
Exactly.
I wouldn't store the plan of my home on blockchain.
May I say something also?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
I think as an architect, I hope in 2050 we will not build only modular buildings. I really hope that each building will be original. And the second is, because we should talk about robotics today in 2050, I would paraphrase one sentence. Don't ask what robots can do for you. Tell me what you can do for robots, because robots will do only what we tell them, okay? So, and we didn't talk about AI today too much, but AI will completely change the whole industry, the whole behavior, everything what we need. So it will be completely new game. In 2035, 2040, we may be hit by AI so much that 2050 will look completely different, and robots will look different than we expect. And that's why I gave you four possibilities: exoskeleton, or just robot, collaboration between human and robot and human. Things back also, they will be more advanced than we are. We need human resources for serving robots. We didn't talk about that, but where we will take them, we have to learn people how to work with future robots. And then the third and fourth was, robots can be really different than we look today. Huge, used as a cladding wall or whatever, but they can really take over the whole construction site for big buildings. I'm not talking about small buildings right now. And the fourth, again, maybe they will do it all along without us. Yeah, so just think different way than just put yourself in 2050 and look back to today, to present, and then try to find out how we can really get there.
Right, thanks very much. The time is gone, so we're finished. There are two things that resonated here. It's modularity and also 3D printing. I heard it. We're gonna get back in the next panelists because there are gonna be some concrete examples of modular systems and 3D printing. At the moment, thanks very much for all of you. Thanks very much for be here with us. And see you in a bit. So may I ask the next four panelists to join? And first, I would like to invite to the stage Louis Kurdi, founder of CEO of Print4D. Louis, where are you? You're here. So can we show the video? Now we got a video presentation with every panelist. So can we start with the video, please? Thanks very much for the video. Louis, welcome. And the second panelist is Tomáš Vránek. Tomáš is the director of the ICE Industrial Services in Czech Republic. Tomáš, can you come to the stage, please? And I ask for the video, please.
Інноваційні технології для української армії. Чеська компанія.
Thanks very much for the video. The third panelist is Stanislav Martinec, director of the Coma Modular of the Czech Republic, the modular system. So can I ask for the video, please?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Stanislav Martinec. I am CEO of company Coma Modular. In our company, we focus on design, production, and assembly of modular buildings. We have 300 employees. Our yearly capacity is 3,000 pieces modules, and we export 80% of our production. Our company is located in east part in the Czech Republic, and we have two subsidiaries in Prague and in Slovakia. In the world, modular buildings is named off-site building. Off-site building is typical representative of circular economy and sustainability. Off-site building is divided into two parts. First one is relocable building, and second one is permanent building. All advantages of modular buildings are modularity. Is fast combination of modules, speed, saving time because it's prefabricated on plan, cost effectively, the same budget for all production. The next one is ecological. Modular building is very friendly ecologically. And last one, for example, reconstruction. We can use the same module for another usage. Digitalization is the main engine for increasing of our productivity. We use the main principles of lean production as is used in car industry. Especially in our company, we use special application for communication between departments, is named B2A, and for design we used the system on the software Revit BIM, and in preparation we have new software for simulation of our plant. And where is modular building used? We deliver around the world. Modular building is suitable for kindergarten, for schools, for factories, for offices and hospitals, for example. And our last project was in Africa, and it is first modular airport. And there is a lot of possibilities where is modular building used.
Thank you very much. And last panelist is Antonín Lupíšek, Director for Research and Innovation at the Center for Energy Efficient Building at the CTU in Prague. Antonín, welcome, and please, the video. So thanks very much for all the videos and welcome all panelists. Let's start with the 3D printing. That's something that's going on today. Louis, I start with you. You from Jordan, but you work in Emirates. You are quite travel around the world. So can you just tell us where is the 3D concrete printing today in the world? Because I saw on the slide you've mentioned that there's like 25% of buildings should be printing in Emirates. So is it? How is it? Can you just tell a little bit, address this?
So exactly, yes. 4 years ago or 5 years ago, Dubai came out with the 3D printing strategy, which says that by the year 2030, 25% of all buildings need to be 3D printed. So this was a push from the government itself to introduce technology in the construction sector, and that's why we were able to see many projects pop up in Dubai and the Emirates in general. But 4 years have passed, and today we see 3D concrete printing technology all around the world, from the Americas to New Zealand, Europe, Middle East. So it has taken big leaps, and I think slowly companies and construction companies are starting to adopt it.
Well, you say 25%.
Yes, 25%
by
of
2030.
Buildings by 2030. Yes.
In Emirates.
Yes, in
Well,
Dubai. In Dubai.
In Dubai, it's quite number.
Yes, it's a very high goal. It's a very high percentage, but I guess it's working because it's pushing all of the contractors to go and experiment with 3D printing.
Is that something what government said? That
yes.
The government said 25% should be all printed.
Yes, it was like 25% of buildings should be printed by 2030. You main contractors get to work and start experimenting with this technology.
Wow. Well, Thomas, you're from the more automotive industry, and now you entered the civil engineering sector with 3D printing like 1 or 2 years back. So if you would compare the automotive we just discussed here and the civil engineering, what is the most surprising difference for you?
Do you hear me?
Yeah.
Well, first I would like to react on the discussion that was here on the panels before. Robots are considered some like superhuman kind of thing, but the robot. It's not any mysterious thing. It's a machine. It's only a manipulator that manipulates something in 6 axes. And the question is not if there is going to be the production either by robots or humans. The question is it going to be anything would be produced by humans or machines? And why are used machines? Because some work is too dangerous, it's too repetitive, it's too boring, it's too difficult. That's why in all branches of human activities exist machines in agriculture, in production, in automotive industry, and saying that something is like too complicated that it wouldn't be able to be manufactured by the robots doesn't make too much sense to me. That there is airplanes built by robots. The car is like so complicated thing to be produced, and most of the cars these days are produced only by robots. So the question is not robot or human. The question is machine or human. And if it's going to be a machine, what Michal said, we need to change the machine that it fits us. We don't have to change the way we build houses for 2,000 years and then try to change the robots. We need to change the whole thinking and the whole way how we access this production. And as you said, I'm coming from production industry, mostly automotive industry, machinery, and we have to design the whole ecosystem to be able to be produced by machines, because it's year 2022, and only because it was always done like this, it doesn't mean that it has to be done like that for the rest of our lives.
Well, so the 3D concrete printing can be, for instance, the game changer, is it?
It's one of the ways. We started our innovation process, and we have many experiences from production industry. We have implemented 1,300 industrial automation project in last 10 years, so we really know a lot about robots and production, and we were searching for something where we can utilize our knowledge from the production industry, and we found this 3D printing as the lowest hanging fruit, as something that is can show the way. I'm not a construction guy. I cannot get too deep into construction discussion, but for me it's only manipulating by the end point of something. It's either welding of a chassis of a car or cabin of a car, or producing concrete. So I just want to say, let's have a look not on a robot or concrete or something. Let's have a look on the whole ecosystem of producing something. Let's not look on the houses as on the houses. I know it's difficult. There is a cultural value and stuff, but for me, it's producing of something, and I must design the whole so it is able to be automatable.
Right. Well, if we go back a little bit to the 3D printing, I saw it everywhere. It's really alive. So I don't really, in all the laboratories and Lincoln and everything, but I don't really see it on the construction side. So the question is, what is slowing down the adoption of the 3D concrete printing, and how we can overcome that, Louis?
I think there's many aspects to that, starting from the education and familiarizing different engineers, architects with the current state of the technology. Definitely, there's also a barrier when it comes to building regulations and code around the world, because today still there is no one standard for 3D concrete printing around the world that engineers can refer to. Usually, it takes a little bit of more time to get in touch with the municipality and discuss which route to take in order to get a building permit for a 3D printed building, but it's not impossible, it's just the extra effort. And obviously a lot of construction companies and engineers, they don't have extra time to spare to experiment with new technologies, and that's the biggest issue that I saw in the market today, that you have the lack of first of all, financial backing that you can experiment with something new, and also, of course, it takes time. So those are some of the barriers. But I mean, at the same time, there's a lot of opportunities that comes with the 3D concrete printing.
Well, when we have mentioned the opportunities, the advantages, so what are the biggest advantages for 3D concrete printing, Tomáš?
Well, we definitely see the speed, and we are getting again to the advantages of automation. It's like the increasing of overall effectivity of the process. It could be cheaper, and it will probably be cheaper. It is faster, and the biggest problem for, I guess, all of us is lack of people willing to build, to work on a construction site, and the solution is not to bring more and more people from abroad to build here. I always say, let's stop this modern slavery and let the machines do the work.
Well, you have in the past month, you have transported some of the 3D concrete printers to Ukraine. Mm-hmm. So where do you actually see the biggest potential of the 3D printing structures?
I see it these days. I see it in cases of some emergencies. So floodings, tornadoes, earthquakes, at the time where you need quickly build hundreds of, let's say, small houses, it's hard to find hundreds of construction workers, skilled construction workers to help there, but it's easy to get 100 robots and bring them, which could be operated by, I don't know, 5-10 operators, and print without any human assistance needed. So it's these days it's speed, and then it will increase the complexity of the buildings.
Louis, what is it for you? Where do you see it?
I'll go back a little bit to touch on some advantages about 3D concrete printing. For example, in the construction industry, with 3D concrete printing, we don't need to use molds that are typically used in traditional construction. So you are getting rid of a process that costs time and labor and also ends up in waste. We are able to optimize our structures and geometries using digital tools to reduce the amount of concrete that are used in the concrete structures. So we are reducing the amount of concrete, and of course how it affects the environment. Concrete is responsible for 8% of global emissions, and if we want to have a more sustainable future, we need to learn how to reduce the amount of concrete that we use for the structures and optimize them more. So that's one of the advantages. And one of the last advantages, there's many, but I'll just end with this point, is that it's a completely digital workflow. So for the project that I shared during the video, we did not produce any drawings. from the BIM model that we did on Revit, we took all of the actual digital model that we actually spend a lot of time working on, but then at the end in traditional construction we print everything in 2D and we submit it to the offices. But in this technology, we didn't print anything. We used the digital model, sent it to the slicing software and printed everything error-free, 100% accuracy, and we knew that we produced an exactly digital twin of the model.
Well, there is a question also for you, Louis. What is the 4D in your 3D printing approach? The 4D?
Well, because we work with concrete material, as you're aware, concrete has a life. You know, when we are extruding concrete and when we are using concrete, it typically takes 28 days to reach the full strength. So I thought that we'll add the fourth dimension of time to the 3D printing process, and also it's a bit relative to the fourth industrial revolution.
Okay, it's timing. Time. It's the time, right? Well, let's little bit move to modularity, and Stanislav, to you. So we talked about the modularity in the last session. So for you, what does the modularity in construction mean for the circular economy that is so important also?
Thank you very much for invitation. I am very glad that the discussion start about it. I have to say that I am in the branch of modularity for 30 years, and we start with some containers, and now we deliver, for example, the modular airport to Senegal. Definitely, I believe that this is the way for future. And in video, I mentioned how we divided this modular building. I think that everybody in this construction branch should realize that the modular building is not only for permanent usage, it's also for temporary. It's very important because there are a lot of advantages of modular building. When I started in our company, I visited 5 companies in car industry. Yes, and we transfer all knowledges from lean production to our production. Yes, until now we, for example, increased the productivity twice, 3 times. Yeah, and I think that is the way. And one example about the circular economy. There is 8 years ago, we win a public tender for pavilion in Expo in Milano. And we built this pavilion in Milano, and then we reassemble this pavilion, and we take it back in the Czech Republic, and we use the same building for example, our headquarters. I was there many times. I spent in Milano 2 years, and finally I was very nervous what I see after this Expo. In Expo, 80% of pavilion was damaged. I remember, for example, the Germany pavilion cost 40 million euro, and one baggerist in 2 days destroyed the pavilion. We waste money. I think that for circular economy, the modular building is this, for example, this case is perfect solution.
Well, definitely. The next question maybe goes to energy savings. Antonin, that's your floor. So how does advanced prefabrication support the energy savings today?
Well, I believe that this advanced prefabrication in combination with digitization can really boost energy efficiency of the building stock. We already see it in other countries, in France, in Belgium. What you have seen in the video, they are already doing there. So they have post-war building stock that needs renovation, and they chose to renovate it for zero energy level, and they do it with prefabricated construction. So they scan the buildings, they build offsite the stuff, and then within 1 week you have completely new house which is zero energy standard. So let's say that just ask how the modularity can be used in today's dynamically changing world. How would you use it?
Yeah, it's yours. Yeah, Stanislav.
Excuse me, one repeat.
How the modularity can be used in today's changing world?
I think that the modularity is only system, on one system. I heard about the strategy in America, for example, that this government introduced the strategy that for future world, 10% of building should be built in a prefabricated, because it's possibility to moving, because we live in the unpredictable world. I don't know if you know this VUCA, what this means. No?
What is it?
V is volatility, U is uncertainty, yeah, and K is complexity, and A is ambiguity. Yeah, this is a world. We don't know what happened tomorrow. I think that the modularity is the typical representative for next future world, because we can move the building. I can imagine for future that, for example, growing houses. I think that we can use also 3D printer. We use some printer for not for building, for modules, but for connectors, for example.
Actually, that was my question, if you see any interconnections between the 3D printing and modular constructions.
Yes, I can imagine it.
Tomáš? So can you give an example?
Well, it's kind of modularity as well, and there is this repetitivity, if there is such a word. So it's again utilizing the industrial standards in building, in construction, and modules are basically some kind of industrial standard applied to constructions, and the additional stuff could be 3D printed, absolutely. But it's, again, the 3D printing as additive manufacturing. It's not only with concrete, it's with plastic, with metals. There will be, I believe and deeply believe that within a dozen of years, there will be stuff only from metals, only 3D printed. It will save a huge amount of energy used for standard steel stuff production these days. It will remove the CNC and so on.
Well, there is one question from the audience regarding the 3D printing. So the question stands: 3D printing at site helps to optimize narrow part of construction life cycle, like casting walls. Would 3D printing on site survive in case of more prefabrication? So Louis, can you address that?
In case of more prefabrication.
More prefabrication, in case of more prefabrication.
You know, I personally think one doesn't eliminate the other, definitely. I mean, there are advantages to printing on-site, and there are currently a lot of projects actually printed on-site, the majority in the US. But we also need to take into consideration that not every geographical location has the ability to operate on-site and do the manufacturing process and the building process on-site. Therefore, in those cases, prefabrication is, inevitable. Like, you need to rely on a closed environment where you control all of the aspects of the quality of the production, and you produce and then you send offsite. So both can exist together, I think.
I guess it's much more tricky to print like on-site.
It is a little bit more tricky because, concrete material is very sensitive to the environmental factors, and a few degrees extra, plus minus, or having some wind, things like that can affect the final product and the final concrete. But since we're talking about concrete, I'll just add one more thing.
Sure.
Is that personally, I don't think concrete is the material of the future, and it will not be the material that we will use to construct our new buildings and construction projects. We are trying currently. We're working on different research projects, and in a lot of universities in Europe, actually, there is a lot of research going on developing a new alternative material to concrete that is more sustainable and uses less cement, therefore has less CO2 emissions. And maybe you've heard of it. It's something called like a geopolymer material, which of course has more superior characteristics to concrete. And I think the future will look more something like with a new building material.
Tomáš,
If I can react, of course, printing on site is more complicated, but it's the core of the effectivity. It's the lean production. It's removing several steps in the process, printing something, storing it, then packing it, delivering it, transporting it, unpacking it, unloading, moving. There's so many work with that, and you want to print something on the place where it will end, and the closer you are, the better. And this happened with our 3D printer in Ukraine. If we print, we are able to produce our defense system here in Czech Republic. But can you imagine moving concrete barriers to Ukraine by train? That's ridiculous. You need to move the printer as close to possible to the place where they will be using it, and then print it there. This is the lean production.
Yeah, reducing the carbon footprint. Yeah, well, Anthony, there is one question for you, since we were touching the materials, and we just also discussed the timber here, so also the prefabrication. So what is the level of prefabrication in timber construction here in the Czech Republic?
Well, it's improving. The share of timber structures, especially in residential housing, is improving. And there is a big opportunity how to use this material not only for single-family houses, but also for larger buildings. And I see in the future, I see more combination of various materials. So what you have seen in the video, one of those was the project combining concrete structural system, and everything else was built in timber. So the building envelope is in timber, the prefabricated bathrooms, the prefabricated partitions, but the structural system is in solid material that is durable, and it will be here for hundreds of years. But you can swap the facades, the interiors in 40, 50 years for new, to accommodate it to the need of the future users.
Well, you've mentioned that the concrete is not the future, it's more geopolymers. What is your position on that?
We shall see.
We shall see in the areas.
I hope.
You hope?
It's a combination. For example, in our company, we combine the steel structure and timber. Yeah. For example, in modular, we use, for example, because of fire resistance on the first floor can be prefabricated, and the module can be produced from steel, and the second floor next can be used, for example, timber. Yeah, and this is we have to innovate it.
Yeah.
Well, Stanislav, there is one question for you. Were the modules for the airport fabricated in Senegal, or did you have transported them from the Czech Republic? Will this further internationalize the sector? Two questions.
I think that
in
is
one.
no way for future to produce the module in Czech Republic and transport to Senegal.
But were those were fabricated here, or were fabricated?
We fabricated here.
Here in Czech
yes,
Republic.
in Czech Republic. Yeah, even transport. I was surprised that this is possible. Yes, to transport. Yes, we transport 200 pieces to Senegal, and finally it happened perfect, I have to say. But now we start because of we have to try to think locally, and we would like to start build a modular factory from module for modules, for prefabrication of modules in Senegal. Yeah, this is our way, yes, for future. I have to say that this modularity, which you can see, you could see in the video, is the next level of modularity, because we built 6 buildings. And we connected this building with the aluminum structure and glass. Yeah.
I just would be really interested. What was the price for shipping?
Price for shipping. There is not dramatic. It's, for example, about 10-15% from the all cost of the airport.
Well, let's go to the question, because this time is going out. How are concrete 3D printing buildings going to meet the good energy efficiency at good levels of living comfort, Louis?
Well, from the point of view of living comfort, with 3D printing, you're able to customize. So mass customization is enabled in this case. So when we talk about modularity, I know it's typically associated with like boxy, repetitive forms, but with 3D printing, we break free from that. So you can use a modular approach, but with mass customization. So everyone can kind of customize their own house as they want. And from a point of view of energy efficiency, I mean, concrete is currently being used in the majority of the construction projects, and this material that is printed has the similar characteristics. So we can really adapt it for better insulation, for better optimization, and so on.
Yeah, well, the thing is that in this country we use a lot of insulation on the concrete, and that's a big issue, I think. Do we really also have to use it in the 3D concrete printing? You have to use some insulation. Does it make it sense then?
Yeah, I mean, of course. I mean, when we design the wall modules, we design them with cavities where we can fit the insulation. I mean, there's no way around the insulation unless you're using a really new, innovative material that can insulate cold and heat.
You want to address that also?
So, well, we utilize the structure of the walls. We are now designing, we have now 3 houses being built where we are testing different ways of insulation, and outside of this building, direction to the parking spot, there is example 3 samples of our barricades to Ukraine, the real NATO certified barricades. These ones are filled with ultra high performance concrete, but you can switch from the high performance concrete to some thermal insulation, and what we are trying to achieve is to use the sandwich structure of the walls to be able to apply some foam or some kind of insulation inside into the walls. So that's what we are now developing.
If we stay with the 3D concrete printing, there is a question on durability. So no one knows how it's going to behave in 30 years. So what is your position on this?
I mean, that's the true statement. It's a new technology, new material. We don't really know, but what we work with is we do a lot of testing of the material to ensure that what we are printing is going to last. And with the material suppliers, the experts that we're working with, it's considered just another variation of a concrete material, so plus minus 50 years of age.
We have the same testing results that we are doing with the universities. It's basically would be close to
shouldn't be
concrete.
Just 30 years, because we talked in the previous panel, if we build something, it should build to last for 200 years. So can the 3D printing really stay here for that long?
Concrete today, if you talk about any construction project, it's usually 50 years.
Yeah, I know.
They can never give you a longer life. And since we're using a similar material, we are kind of the same.
There wasn't really. Well, I'm not from construction, so I don't want to get too deep into this discussion, but concrete obviously wasn't like too much developed in last years, 2000 years. But there wasn't demand really to find a new material, and I think this printing way gives us opportunities to come with a completely new material. It's like talking in 17th century that everything will run on steam for forever. Then we got gas. Then now we have electricity in the cars. Nobody knows if electricity from the grid will be that energy that will drive cars in 30 years. So I believe that there will be another material based on whatever concrete or something like this, but there must start the demand on the innovation of this material, like this geopolymers or something else. I don't know.
I'm really not sure about geopolymers, because there is some trouble with the humidity. I think they can be applied in a very hot climate like Australia, but not here in the Czech Republic when the humidity is quite high, because you get some molds and stuff like this. So I'm not really sure about the geopolymers. I don't know if you would like to say something for geopolymers.
I think so. I believe in modularity.
Okay.
And because it is a late time, yeah, I would like to mention some example for modularity. Yeah, one module, you are alone. Yeah, we buy one module. You are married, you buy the second module. You are living with your wife in 2 modules. We have a first child. Yeah, okay, buy next modules. Yeah, second child, next modules. Yeah, and this is a growing houses. After this, and this is, for example, these children are adults. We order one lorry, yes, and take the modules with the child to Spain, for example. Next one to Slovakia. You stay with your wife in 2 modules. This is modularity.
Right, thanks. Is there any question from the audience? The last one. Someone would like to ask something, because the time is almost out. So, is there any question from the audience? And if there is no, in that case, I would like to thanks very much for all the panelists today. Thanks very much. And give a big hand to our panelists, please. And please do not take off yet. Do not take off yet. We got 2 organization things to share with you. The one is those of you who's got the yellow rings, the Brussels on your hand, who has registered for the excursion for the historical underground. Please go to the entrance number 10. There is a guide waiting for you who will give you the tour. All of you who have registered got their yellow ring with you. All the others, you are most welcome to join the after party at the Holiday Inn. At the Holiday Inn right now. So just go straight to Holiday Inn, and I'll see you then. And we'll see you tomorrow at 9 o'clock. We start tomorrow at 9. And that's all. Thanks very much, and see you in a bit in Holiday Inn.